If you want to be promoted to the next level in your job, you have to plan, right? You make a plan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْتَنظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. Allah here is addressing the believers. And He's saying the first advice is have taqwa of Allah. Have consciousness and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Know that He's watching you, that you're going to be asked, that you're going to stand in front of Him. So have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلْتَنظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. And let every person know what they have put forth for tomorrow. Here Allah is reminding us to plan for tomorrow. And it is not the tomorrow of 12 hours from now, or what are we going to do tomorrow on Monday. Tomorrow I'm going to catch a flight. It's not that tomorrow, but the tomorrow, capital T. The tomorrow that comes after this life. Plan for that tomorrow. Number 5, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The remembrance of Allah. You cannot be in this life without drowning if you do not consistently remember Allah. You need to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His remembrance is just like food is for your body. The remembrance of Allah to the heart is like food is to the body, is like water is to a fish. The remembrance of Allah is absolutely necessary for survival. Allah then goes on after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْتَنظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. And then after this, later on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Do not be like those who forgot Allah, so He made them forget their own selves. Have you guys ever been through a stage in your life or known someone who's completely sort of like an identity crisis? When someone, you just don't know who you are. You don't know where you fit. Sometimes, your parents are from one culture, they have certain beliefs. You are from a different culture. You live in a different culture, and you don't really know where you are. This concept of not really understanding who we are will happen as a consequence of forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says that those who forget Him, Allah actually warns us, do not be like those who have forgotten Him, so He made them forget their own selves. Turning away from the remembrance of Allah has some very, very scary consequences. One of them is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the one who turns away from the remembrance of Allah, for him there is a shaitan appointed to that person. And that shaitan becomes chained to that person, and he becomes his most intimate companion. Now, I don't know if you guys realize, this is, to me, extremely scary. The concept of having a shaitan be your most closest and most intimate companion. This is the result of moving away or turning away from the remembrance of Allah. When you're not praying, when you're missing prayers, when you forget about Allah, now your best friend isn't, the person sitting next to you in the seat right now. Your best friend is actually a shaitan. And it's a shaitan who has been appointed specifically to you and has been chained specifically to you. How do you think that you're ever going to even be able to see things as they really are if you have a shaitan whispering to you all the time? And you become more and more susceptible to this whispering the more you move away from the remembrance of Allah.